to my channel. My name is Madison, and today we're doing this burnt revealing paper look. Don't know what to call it, but these are like, they're not the real Zodiac Killer, but the Zodiac Killer messages all over. So we're going to be talking about the Zodiac Killer and be doing the makeup. And there will be instructions in the video for the makeup, and I will voice over the story of the Zodiac Killer. So buckle up, and there's going to be graphic content within this video, so please be warned, and let's get on to the video. On December 20th, 1968, on Lake Herman Road in Benicia, California, near the Bay Area of San Francisco, two high school students named Betty Lou and David Ferde skipped their high school concert to go to a lover's lane around 11 p.m. Another car pulled up next to them. A man got out of the car and ordered them to exit the car. Betty got out first, then David. The man pulled out a gun and shot him in the head. Betty started to run away, and the man shot her only 20 feet away from the car. She was shot 5 times in the back. When police arrived, a couple hours later, there was no trace of the killer or any leads. July 4th, 1969. More than 6 months later, a couple named Michael Margot and Darlene Farrow drive to Blue Rock Springs Park, about 4 miles away from the original murder site. They were sitting in Darlene's car when a second car pulled up right beside them and then drove away. They were confused but continued to sit. About 10 minutes later, the car returned, and it parks right behind them. Then the driver got out of the car and approached the passenger side with a flashlight and a gun. Blinded by the light, they couldn't see the killer. He shot them 5 times, the bullets passing through Michael into Darlene. The killer walked away, but turned back when he heard moaning from Michael. So he shot him an extra 2 times to make sure they were both dead, and then drove off. Around 12 a.m., the police received a phone call from a mysterious man claiming that he was responsible for the murder. He gave the location of the bodies and hung up. The police traced the call to a phone booth at a gas station 3.10 miles away from Darlene's home, as well as a few blocks from the police station. When the police arrived, Darlene was pronounced dead at the hospital, but miraculously Michael was still alive. Even though he was shot in the face, neck, and chest, he was able to give a description of the attacker to the police. He said he was a 26 to 30-year-old man, roughly weighing 195 to 200 pounds. He was about 5'8", a white male with curly light brown hair. Now, with 2 attacks, there was still no leads. About a month later, August 1st, 1963, 3 newspapers received a letter. The killer took credit for all the murders. Each letter had 1/3 of a 408 symbol cipher, which the killer claimed hid his identity. Also demanded the papers to put his letters on the front page, or he would kill all weekend, until he had a dozen people dead. Newspapers decided not to. They only published the ciphers on page 4, not the front page as he insisted. Although it wasn't on the front page, the threats were not pursued. So, on August 7, 1969, another letter was sent to the papers. It started with, "Dear Editor, this is the Zodiac." This was the first time he called himself the Zodiac. Letters also inconsistent details that were not released to the public. The next day, a couple of retired school teachers cracked the cipher. They were the only people to do so. It was extremely hard to decode it because of all the misspellings. One of the reasons they cracked it because they believed him to be a narcissist and would start the letter with I. And they also linked up matching symbols to be double letters, like elves, and killing. There was one thing that they did not decode though. It was a 13-letter word at the end of the cipher. It is still believed to be his name, or something that has to do with him personally. On September 27, 1969, two students from Pacific College were picnicking at Lake Barrackey. When they were picnicking, they noticed a white male with greasy brown combed hair approach them. When he got closer, he put on a black executioner-style hood with clip-on glasses, as well as a bib-like necklace with a circle and a cross through the middle, which is now known as the Zodiac symbol. He was also holding a gun. He approached the couple and convinced them that he was an escaped convict. The couple were convinced that he was going to rob him, but he handed Cecilia a pre-cut plastic clothesline to tie up Brian before he would tie her up. And Cecilia did not tie up Brian tight enough. He pulled out a knife and stabbed Cecilia 10 times, and then Brian 6 times. Then he went to Brian's car. With a Sharpie, he drew the Zodiac symbol as well as the dates of the murders previously. At 7:40 p.m., the killer called the police from a payphone and reported the crimes to the police. When they investigated, they found the phone still off the hook, only a few blocks away from the police station. They were able to get a still wet palm print from the phone, but they were unable to match it to anyone. Back at the lake, a father and son were fishing and heard them screaming. They eventually found them, still tied up and alive. When the police arrived, Cecilia was conscious and Brian was not. Cecilia gave a description of the man, but unfortunately she went into a coma, and 2 days later she passed away. Brian arrived at the hospital unconscious. A few days later, he woke up and he survived this attack. He was able to give the police another description of the man. Only 2 weeks later, October 11, 1969, a passenger enters a cab driven by a man named Paul Stine at the intersection of Mason and Gary Street in San Francisco. The passenger was asked to be taken to Washington and Maple in Pasadena Heights. While driving, the passenger pulled out a gun and shot Stine in the back of the head. Then he took his wallet and keys, as well as taking a piece of his blood-stained shirt. 3 teenagers from across the street witnessed the whole thing. They immediately called the police while the attack was still happening. They told police that a white male was wiping down the cab and was walking away. When the police arrived, they saw a white man walking into a stairwell. They kinda talked to him, but moved on. Although the teens described a white male just like how they saw, the radio dispatch apparently said that they were looking for a black male, so the police didn't believe the man was a suspect. The teenager said no, it was a white male, and they gave a sketch of the man. This was the first composite sketch of him. The police later denied ever speaking to anyone on the side of the road. Then, on October 14, 1969, the Chronicle received another letter from the Zodiac. With this letter was a piece of Paul Stine's shirt, to ensure that it was him, as well as a demand. He wanted a lawyer. He listed 2 of them. He wanted them to appear on AM San Francisco, or he would attack a school bus. One of the lawyers was apparently busy, but the other one did as he instructed. Joe encouraged the viewers to keep the lines open, so the Zodiac could get through. The Zodiac called a few times and claimed his name was Sam. The lawyer agreed to meet the Zodiac, but he never showed up the next day. On November 8, 1969, he sent another cryptogram, but this one was never decoded. and the next day he sent a 7-page letter stating that 2 policemen stopped him and talked to him 3 minutes after he killed Paul Stine. On December 20th, 1969, a year and a day after the first murder, he mailed a letter to the lawyer that was on the TV show. With the letter was another piece of Paul's shirt. On the evening of March 22, 1969, a woman named Kathleen Johns was attacked by a man that was seemingly trying to help her with a flat tire. She was able to run into a field with her young daughter. They were fortunately able to escape. Drove off in her car. She was able to hitch a ride to the police station. When she arrived, she saw a sketch of a man. The sketch was the one from the teenagers from Paul Stine's murder. She stated that this was him. With no physical evidence, they couldn't do much, but they did put her in witness protection program. The Zodiac continued to keep in contact with the authorities for the rest of the year. He sent more ciphers, diagrams, and threats. October 27, 1970, Paul Avery, a reporter for the Chronicles, received a Halloween card. It was signed with the letter Z as well as the Zodiac symbol. The letter read, "Peekaboo, you're doomed." Later, he received another anonymous letter with the similarities of the Zodiac to the unsolved murder of Shirley John Bates. After that, the Zodiac was silent for nearly 3 years. Sent another letter to the Chronicles claiming that he thought The Exorcist was an amazing comedy. The next few years, the San Francisco police investigated over 25,000 suspects, but no leads. One of the most suspected people was Louis John Myers. He confessed to a friend on his deathbed in 2001 and requested his friend to wait until his death to report it to the police. Some of the most suspicious acts was Myers went to the same high school as Dave and Betty and allegedly worked with Darlene and had access to the same military boots found at the crime scene at the lake. And during 1971 to 1973, there was no letters sent. Myers was stationed overseas at that time. But the case is still unsolved. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to see more from me, and all my other social media links will be linked down below. And I'll see you guys next time.